Hey guys, we're looking at a room here. This is my factory again. We've got some friends with us, and we just took a step forward and we noticed there was a trap, and it exposed this lever over there. It paused the game, and clearly something's up here. As we approach this lever and we interact with it, we're going to attempt to disarm this trap here, and it'll roll a. Oh shoot! We failed our thing. Our ground blew up. We blew up. And now we have to make a saving throw. And notice it also targeted everyone else that's with us in this room. And now, we can go through our process as the GM of applying damage and things like that. So we just did a passive perception check. And this is a trap that I'm going to show you guys how to create today. So let's get into it. Let me walk you through the components and the sequence of this trap. As a player approaches it, this tile is a passive perception check tile. I've named it Exploding Trap Passive Perception. With Tagger. We're going to go into that in just a second. If they pass their passive perception test, then it will deactivate this proximity tile here. This is the proximity trigger. This is the first one. There's a second one as well. It deactivates it so that they can approach this switch that is revealed. The switch, it's called the exploding trap mechanism. So this is the mechanism that they can manipulate, and it will do a dexterity check. And if they pass it, then it'll disarm the trap. If they fail it, it'll actually set the trap off. So we're going to go through our second mechanic there, which is how to redirect request results. And then, of course, the trap itself is this big exploding tile. This is a JB2A tile. I won't go through how this works. We already went through in another video, which I'll link here, how to make traps automatically, launch attacks at you. And I'm just leaving this open so you can see the general rules. You can always pause this. Then, of course, this trap is also making things like a light appear, and it's causing this damage tile to appear in the background. And then this is a second proximity trigger where if the players come this far and they choose not to try to disarm the trap, they just go forward, this will set the trap off. And then the last part is this here. This is a reset switch. This is built so that I can test this trap and then very quickly reset it. So it basically just takes all the elements and it resets them back to their starting position. Only the GM can interact with it, and it has to be manually activated. So if I right click and I click this, it'll reset everything back to the way it's supposed to be in its starting position. So let's look at this tile right here. This is the passive perception tile. And we're going to use two components to make this work. We're going to use two specific actions together. We're going to use the filter by attribute action, and we're going to use the check if token exists action. So when you use them, it doesn't use the same verbiage here. So let's see what that looks like. So if I go in and create a new action, I'll select filter by attributes. That is under the filter section now. And I'm going to take the current tokens that have actually activated this tile. In this case, anyone who enters will activate it. So I'll take those tokens and I'm going to check them for an attribute. In this case, I'm checking them for skills of passive perception. Now you can imagine putting lots of things in here, like I only want tokens of a certain height, or I only want tokens of a certain intelligence score. Whatever's an attribute that you can find for that token, you can put in here. And it's nice because you can even type ahead and it will give you some suggestions on what those attributes might be. Now, passive perception is actually a tough one to find. So I put it in here so that you know, skills.per.passive. And then I'm looking for anyone that's greater than or equal to 1. I set that really low so I could guarantee that we set it off. In reality, I'd probably choose something more like a perception of 15. Now, I'm starting by searching for that token that has greater than 15 passive perception, and then I'm going to check if that token exists. So the next action I take is going to be the check if token exists action. Again, I'm going to look for the current tokens. So whatever tokens are being processed through this list, I want to look at them. And I'm going to leave it blank so that I stop and don't do anything further. I could put something else in here and push them to another step or push them to another anchor. In this case, I'm going to leave it blank because I want it all to stop. If I don't find somebody that is greater than 15 or equal to 15 passive perception, then I don't want to do anything else. I want them to keep walking through this tile and walk into this proximity trigger, which will set off the trap. And because I've set the trap up with this giant tile, this big animated tile from JB2A, then it's going to be anyone who falls within this tile will actually be caught in the trap. So, I want other players to be caught in here. Of course, if I detect the token, then it will move on. It won't just stop, it'll move on. So if it moves on, it'll stop all token movement, it'll pause the game, it'll send the notification saying a track has been detected, and it will basically disable this first proximity tile that will allow the player through. And it will actually reveal this switch over here. Of course, the switch could be something else. In this case, I just chose a simple switch tile. And these tiles are all available in my Patreon module if you want to use these yourself. And so that's it. They pass through that, and that's how you use the filter by attribute and check if token exists. Now the next mechanic I'll show you is here. So they're now able to approach the switch, and if they click on it, so if they click on this switch, any player who clicks on it, then it's going to do all of these things, right? And the main thing I want to show you is how to direct a roll result. So the first one we do is request roll. That's the first action. We want our triggering token to request it. It'll be a dexterity check. The DC is 30 currently to guarantee that it goes off, but I'm going to set it up to maybe be more like DC 15. And it'll give some flavor text attempting to disarm the trap. It will make it a public roll. It will bypass the special dialogue that active tiles opens up, and we will let the player roll for it, so we won't auto roll for them. We're going to continue with all tokens regardless. So regardless of what that roll is, we're going to continue forward. If we continue forward, we're going to use this next action. This is the redirect request results action. This lets us send the results in multiple directions. So if they pass, then we'll send them to one anchor. And if they fail, we'll send them to another anchor. So the first one's trap disarmed, and the second one is trap explodes. I haven't tested this last one, continue to another anchor, if that's like a third option, but I'll just show you these for now. So if we pass, then we go to the trap disarmed anchor. And at that point, it'll continue forward. It'll wait for 2 seconds, and then it'll play a sound of something unlocking. And then it'll give a notification to everyone that the trap was successfully deactivated, right? And it will actually deactivate then the second proximity trigger. That will allow the players to move forward with no more danger that they might set something off. If they fail that disarming check, then they come to this anchor, trap explodes, waits for 2 seconds, and then it'll set off the animated tile and everything associated with it. So hopefully that helped you guys figure out a couple of new mechanics with active tiles. You can build simpler things, right? They don't have to be that complicated. Here's another JV2A tile that causes, a falling trap. So anyway, let me know in the comments what other ideas you guys have, or if you have questions about something else that I did here. If I didn't move slowly enough through, some of these components, then, let me know and we can go back through some of this stuff. And in the meantime, thanks guys, and have fun making your traps.